Hi everyone, I hope you're enjoying Collective College so far. There's been some amazing workshops and there are plenty more for you to attend and lots of sessions to keep you busy for a while. Welcome to the Breathing and the Voice workshop. There's an awful lot of information to get through in this workshop, so I'm going to talk pretty quickly and get stuck straight in. So we're going to take a look at the respiratory system. And obviously the lungs are the main part of the respiratory system. It's divided into the upper respiratory tract and the lower respiratory tract. The upper respiratory includes the mouth and the nose, the nasal cavity, the pharynx, the larynx or the throat and the voice box. And the lower respiratory tract is made up of the lungs, the trachea or the windpipe, the bronchi, the bronchioles and the alveoli. There are other parts of the respiratory system that help your lungs to expand and contract as you breathe, and these include the ribs and the intercostal muscles that surround and protect the lungs, and the dome-shaped diaphragm muscle which is below them. Let's take a little look at that. So here you can see respiration is made up of two phases called inspiration or breathing in and expiration, breathing out. You breathe in oxygen and you breathe out carbon dioxide. So the air comes in through the nose and the mouth, down through past the pharynx and the larynx, through the trachea or the trachea, into the lungs through the left and right main bronchi, into the smaller bronchi airways and the even smaller bronchioli tubes into the alveoli. Now the alveoli isn't pictured on here, but it's more branches that are smaller that come off from the bronchial tubes. Okay, each alveolus is covered by a net of tiny blood vessels called capillaries, and this is where the clever part of the oxygen and the carbon dioxide exchange happens. So your heart sends deoxygenated blood to the lungs, and this is blood that is carrying carbon dioxide rather than oxygen. And as the blood passes through the tiny thin-walled capillaries, they get their oxygen from the alveoli. Then they return carbon dioxide through the thin walls to the alveoli. The oxygen-rich blood from your lungs is sent back to your heart where it's pumped around your body, and the carbon dioxide does the reverse journey and you breathe it out through your mouth and nose. So there's a lot going on here and we don't even have to think about it. The alveoli stay partially inflated like a balloon even when you exhale air. So your lungs make a fluid called surfactant to help them stay open. Surfactant also contains fatty proteins that help keep the lungs healthy. So your lungs, they're self-cleaning. They make mucus to trap germs and particles, and the mucus is swept up by cilia, which are small hairs that line the airways. Normally you swallow this mucus and you don't even notice, but if you've got a respiratory illness, your lungs might make too much mucus and you kind of feel claggy and the alveoli also contain immune cells called macrophages. These cells eat the germs and the irritants before they cause infections in your lungs. And a couple of those infections, just to go through a few. So lung disorders that can be temporary, like illnesses and viruses, or they can be chronic and long term. So we've all heard of them. So we've got asthma, so bronchitis, COPD, pneumonia, tuberculosis. And the causes of these respiratory illnesses can be bacterial, viral. They can be caused by mould, fungus, polluted air. Polluted air is becoming a much more known irritant. We're much more aware of how much pollution is causing our breathing a problem. Chemicals, stagnant indoor air. So viruses can remain in an active state in areas where there's poor ventilation, which is why we're constantly being told at the moment to ensure that indoor spaces have good ventilation, because COVID can remain active if we're not having good ventilation in the rooms that we're in. There's an awful lot of talk, and has been an awful lot of talk about this for choruses going back to rehearsals inside. There are other allergens such as pollen dust, pet fur, insect waste. Ooh, dust mite poo, nice. So good tips for healthy lungs, and we really need to keep our lungs healthy to be able to support our breathing and help our singing. So avoid secondhand smoke, that's a no-brainer. Avoid the outdoors when there are high levels of pollution or pollen. We can't always do that, but you know, do your best not to be sort of walking around in rush hour if you can avoid it at all. Brush your teeth at least twice a day. You know, teeth, your mouths are pretty places, so make sure you keep them nice and clean, because poor hygiene is linked to various heart and lung conditions. Carry an alcohol-based cleaner. I think we all probably do this. Get your vaccinations, although that's a whole other workshop, so we're not going to get into that here. Wash your hands with soap and water several times a day. I know you're doing that because we're all doing that at the moment. So as singers, we hear so many different things about breathing, it can all get very confusing. So first, I'd like to dispel a few myths. Have you been told to breathe from the diaphragm? Have you heard the phrase of diaphragmatic breathing? So the diaphragm is an involuntary sheet of muscle that separates our chest and our abdomen. So here's your diaphragm, your involuntary sheet of muscle that separates the chest and the abdomen. When we breathe in, it contracts and moves down, creating a vacuum and drawing air in. It is the most major muscle involved with inhalation, and during this process our abdominal contents are pushed down, which extends the stomach. So when we exhale, the diaphragm's not consciously active and it just relaxes. It goes back up to its domed, relaxed position. Okay, so you can see here as we breathe in, it's drawn down because it's contracting, and when we breathe out, it returns back up into its dome-shaped, relaxed position. Okay, so just to have an idea of where that's working, I just want you to go to the primal panting sound. Okay, and I want you to put one hand on your chest, on one hand on the top of your stomach, and I just want you to pant. Okay, so that is the diaphragm at work. We're not able to control it, it just does what it does. But that's where it is. Okay, so panting is a good way to feel whereabouts it's working. Again, we do not directly isolate and control our diaphragm to support the sound. This support is created by the whole body, and more specifically the abdominal sets of muscles and the intercostal muscles, which we're going to look at in more detail later. These are the muscles that work together to support the diaphragm in the controlled expulsion of air in controlled breathing. So I'm not telling you that the diaphragm's got nothing to do with breathing and breath management. What I am telling you is that you cannot directly isolate and control your diaphragm. So we all know how to breathe, right? We do it 24 hours a day, so we don't directly need to be told how to breathe. We're all here, so we're doing a really good job of it so far, yeah? Breathing is one of the most important and vital acts we do. Breathing alters in pattern and rhythm at different times of the day, in different emotional states. For example, we sigh in despair. We pant with exhaustion when we've done a run, or when we've run up to the top of the stairs in my case. We hold our breath in fear and terror. So have you ever laid in bed upstairs, or wherever your bed happens to be, and you think you can hear something that you shouldn't be hearing? We hold our breath. It's all right, it's just the cat jumping on the piano. So breathing is one of the few bodily processes that can either be voluntary or involuntary. It can take place automatically without thinking about it, or we can alter it consciously and at will. And this is what we do when we're singing. Because of this unique relationship between our thinking and our bodily process, our breathing pattern can play a deciding role in how much we're affected by stress. Our bodies have natural flight or flight responses built into them. It's a primal thing, and it prepares us for battle or to run. So we use our upper lungs and go into emergency mode breathing, which is wired into our very beings in order to prepare our bodies, like I say, for the fight or flight response. Some of the breathing activities that we do are fabulous for controlling stress responses. So if you could do with reducing your anxiety levels and your stress levels are high, try all these exercises out. There's so many available. So we're going to look at our first breathing exercise. This exercise is very gentle, and it's just to bring an awareness of relaxed breathing. So I'd like you to sit comfortably. We're not thinking about posture at this point. We're just connecting to the breath. Undo any tight clothing. Maybe kick off your shoes. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable to do that. Spread your feet hip width apart if you're seated, and check that you're equally balanced and not giving preference to any one side. So I have a tendency to lean. If you have a tendency to lean, try and centre yourself. Focus your attention now on your breathing. Don't try and change it, not for the moment. Just become aware of how fast or how slow you're breathing. Whether your chest is rising or your belly is moving. Notice whether there's any gaps or pauses between your inhalation or exhalation. Now put one hand on your upper chest and one hand on your abdomen, just below your rib cage. Relax the shoulders and the hands. As you breathe in, allow the abdomen to rise. And as you breathe out, allow the abdomen to flatten or to go down a little bit. There should be little or no movement in the chest. So let's just do that together and be aware. Can you feel your abdomen rising? Allow yourself some time to get into a regular rhythm. It can help to imagine that as you're breathing in, you're drawing a circle with your breath around your body. As you breathe in, one half. As you breathe out, the other half. Allow your breath to become smooth, easy, and regular. Now slow down your breathing out. Then be conscious of a comfortable pause before allowing your breath in to follow smoothly and easily. So as you breathe out, slightly pause at the end. Okay. If there are any distractions, thoughts or worries that come into your mind, allow them to come in and then allow them to go, bringing your attention back to your breathing. We're just going to spend a moment doing that. I'm not going to give you any timing. I'd like you to do this in your own time. Connect to that breath. Okay, and to end, I'd like you to take a few deeper breaths in. Nice deep breath in. Good. Notice that the more relaxed, the easier it is to feel that expansion in the belly. We often hear people talk about belly breaths and breathing into the belly, but of course we can't physically do this. Our lungs don't go down that far. But the sensation and the expansion in the belly area is because when we are relaxed, with the contraction of the diaphragm and the vacuum made to draw the air into our lungs, means that our stomach contents are pushed down, causing the expansion of the tummy. Think about it. There's a lot in there. Let's take a look. So here we've got the diaphragm. I'm hopeful that you can see this dome shape here. We've got the diaphragm, we've got the heart, and we've got the lungs. Okay, so there's the separation with the diaphragm. And when we breathe in and the diaphragm moves down, this is the liver and the stomach, which are directly below it. They're going to get pushed down. Okay? And as they're pushed down, that extends all of the bowels and the stomach and the colon, and it just pushes it out slightly because it's creating space, and that's where we get the sensation of the belly moving out. Okay, so it's not that we're breathing into the belly, because clearly the lungs are up here and separated by the diaphragm. We don't breathe in and our lungs expand so much that they come down here into our belly. But when the diaphragm contracts and comes down and draws the vacuum of air in, these get moved down. Okay, hence you can feel, it feels like you're breathing through your belly, because all of these things are coming out and they work in harmony with each other. Okay, so that's why we have the term belly breathing, or breathe into your belly. It's almost the same as saying breathe with your diaphragm. You know, you have no control over your diaphragm, but we do have an element of control over the muscles and the muscular areas of the belly. In fact, we have a lot of control over the muscular area of the belly, and that we're going to also talk about a little bit more later. But I just wanted to explain why you can feel that your tummy going out as you deeply breathe in, because your lungs clearly are not in your tummy area. Okay, hopefully that helps to picture what's going on inside your body. So like I said, we can use our breathing to control stress. It's one of the most sensitive indicators or warning signs of stress, because it's such a vital link between our minds and our bodies. By consciously increasing our awareness about breathing and by practicing breathing exercises, it's possible to improve our sense of well-being and decrease our levels of stress or anxiety, helping to bring about connection between our minds and our bodies, physically reducing tension and thus reducing stress levels. Tension is huge with us as singers, okay? Tension is the #1 problem in most voice issues. I'm going to say that again. Tension is the #1 problem in most voice issues. As a singing teacher, most of the difficulties that I see here in the studio all come down to tension, which can be brought on by stress and the daily stresses, stress related to pain, injury, posture. Sometimes this tension can manifest in the vocal folds in the form of nodes or nodules, so we don't want to do that. But these are more serious issues and they do need medical referrals for treatment. So let's do what we can to reduce the risk of getting nodes unnecessarily by ensuring that we don't sing through any kind of unnatural tension. As singers, we can benefit from ways of managing our breath, especially when it comes to managing those long phrases that directors often want us to sing. So that's what we're going to look at. The fact that to make any voiced sound, we need our vocal folds to come together and vibrate. They will vibrate whatever kind of breathing you're using. If you're taking part in cardiovascular activities like running or something strenuous, you'll be shallow breathing, so you'll be breathing from your chest, but you can still vocalise. It won't be pretty to sing that way though, and it might be quite abusive because you would be bashing them somewhat, because you would be using all of your air but trying to use it not for singing and speaking. You'd be trying to use it for getting oxygen around your body because your heart is pumping harder to help you with your cardiovascular exercise. So it's not pretty to sing that way, and we can never get through many phrases or have much control. I use this example to point out that there are different types of breathing, and our bodies will often choose what it is we need. So when we're singing, the first thing we need to be thinking about is not our breathing, but we should take a way more holistic approach. Am I physically prepared to sing? Warm-ups. Okay. Now I know what it feels like at a chorus rehearsal when it's warm-up time, and I know people who will physically avoid the first part of a rehearsal in order to not do the physical warm-up because they don't see the value to it or don't think they need it. When we're young, flexible and constantly on the move, we might get away with missing this stage of a warm-up in amateur singing. But for most of us, it's a crucial part of preparation in order to engage, stretch and prepare the sets of muscles that we need to be working in tip-top condition to support our breath and thus our voice. This said, the person who delivers the warm-ups, both physically and vocally, needs to have some understanding of what they're doing, or at least the purpose of what they're doing. If you're dancing to a song and following a person out front dancing and leaping to a song, ask this of yourself. Is your body happy doing what you are asking of it or what someone else is asking of it? Do you have any pain? Is your body compromised because you're guarding? And this is a term I use a lot. It suggests that you're holding yourself in a particular way due to pain or constriction. I'm not suggesting that activities like this don't happen, because they're so much fun. They create team building opportunities, and an opportunity to try out or learn choreography that you might be using within a song. Not to mention that they're an absolute hoot sometimes. But they can also do the opposite of what you're looking for and cause tension or at worst injury. A general rule of thumb: if it causes tension or pain, don't do it. If you've spent years modifying movements to avoid pain during such exercises, you will have formed poor habits that need to be addressed for your body to work optimally. So physical preparation should have the aim of releasing tension and relaxing the body in order to engage the whole body support for optimal breath management. Okay, so those long phrases, how do I approach them? I often hear things like, I can never seem to get enough air to be able to sing that long phrase to the end, or I've got loads of air, I can feel it, but I can still never get to the end of that phrase. So the anticipation of a long phrase coming up usually has people trying to prepare by taking in as much air as possible, but this isn't the way to get through long phrasing or a sustained note. Overfilling your lungs to their maximum capacity causes tension. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Overfilling your lungs to their maximum capacity causes tension. Let's try it. Go on. Take a huge deep breath in, as much as you can get hold of, as much as you can, and hold. Can you feel the tension? It doesn't feel good, does it? Notice how your vocal tract feels. It would be very difficult to manage this air without it exploding through your vocal folds, and your chest and abdomen are not in any optimal position to help during the exhalation while it's all under this kind of pressure. So getting through a long phrase is all about controlling the out breath. It's not about fitting and cramming as much air as you can get. I've watched people who have 2-3 phrases before the long phrase have been top up breathing and not expelling the air that they have, because they think that by storing it up, they're going to have enough air suddenly for this long phrase that they can't get through. And psychologically it's a bit of a battle, but you have to try and correct that. It's faulty thinking. So it's not about the breath in, because that will naturally happen when you're relaxed. It's about managing the breath out. So let's talk a little bit about centering and posture and alignment. Okay. As you can see, there are 4 examples of posture here. And actually, looking at them, they're not as bad as some that I see on risers or walking around even. So here we've got good alignment. Okay. This isn't so good. You've got protruding tummy, curved spine, kind of a slumpy position. You've got a leaning forward here slightly, and then kind of no support at all here. What we need to remember is we need to create a sense of balance so that the head and the neck muscles close to the larynx aren't forced to overcompensate. So finding a stance that allows the ribs to expand and the diaphragm to move to lengthen as it lowers on the inhale. You have no control over that, I'm just pointing that out. You have no control over that lengthening as it lowers, but you need to give your body the optimum position, okay, and the optimum alignment. Now then, okay, so I get very uncomfortable when I see physical things going on within for singers. I don't like to see them manipulating their bodies into contorted positions to find correct alignment, because this in itself causes tension in other areas. I'm not a Pilates teacher or instructor, and I'm not trained in alignment. I'm just not. So the most I would say is you need to be in the most physically optimum posture for you. I'm not going to dictate what that is. I don't know if you've got a back problem or a neck problem or shoulder problems, but the alignment should be, in an ideal world and in optimum health, A. Okay, so that being said, good posture and alignment for you is with your feet slightly apart, your legs straight but your knees slightly bent. There should be no tension anywhere. Okay, your hips facing straight forward, and your spine should be straight and aligned. Your abdomen flat, or in an ideal world that would be wonderful. But your abdomen not sticking out or not being pulled in either. I think as ladies sometimes we have a tendency to try and suck it in a little bit. Let's not do that. Let's just be nice and relaxed. Okay, your chest should be just in a comfortable position, and your shoulders down, and your head facing straight forwards. Okay, so in our modern daily times we tend to be in this position. Just get my little tool here. Okay, we tend to be like this. Okay, so we have our heads jutted forward and out and down, and I think this is what we're seeing an awful lot in choruses now. So we're seeing lots of chin jutting and heads down. So we need to have an awareness of that, but I'm not going to start putting you into contorted positions, because like I say, when you become indoctrinated, when you become a slave to your phone or to the keyboard, and you are doing this all of the time, your bones do shape around that. So I'm not going to tell you how to realign those and change them back to how they should be. But somebody like Julie Lee in her Pilates classes can do that. So if if posture is an issue for you and alignment, then do go along to Julie Lee's Pilates class, because she is trained and qualified to help you to be in the optimal singing position. But all I will say is, for you, you need to be in the best alignment for you and your body, to make sure that we're not overcompensating our larynx and our vocals and all of the whole trachea, the whole area. We need to be really mindful that this gets the best opportunity, as does here, okay, so that we're working in harmony together and there's not an element of us our bodies fighting with the other. The best breath in the world is not going to be managed well if we've got poor alignment. Okay, so you can see here we've looked at the heart and the lungs and talked a bit about the breathing process, but I just want to draw your attention to obviously the heart and the lungs is protected, and it's protected by the ribs, and between each of the ribs there are intercostal muscles, and they're the muscles that help us to move the ribs and help when we take when we intake of breath. The diaphragm drops and draws air in, and as it draws air in, our ribs expand. So just have an awareness of that for a moment. Pop your hands on your rib cage, okay, and just take a deep breath into 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you feel how they go out and they swing laterally as well? Okay, I think it's laterally, but they go out and up, and that's the intercostal muscles that are allowing that to happen, and they're important in the process of breath management. So we're going to talk about those in a minute, but I wanted you to be able to see those. And there we are, back in the room. So we've done a brief exercise that asks us to connect our breath in a relaxing way, and now we're going to look at the muscles that are in play that support our sound. So we can't control our diaphragm, but we can certainly control some of the muscles that work with it, and that's where we get our control from. So let's just take a moment to connect our breath with our core engagement, or our sets of abdominal muscles and everything, the whole engine that we're using to drive the sound, okay, that we're going to make. So what I'd like us to do is, to begin with, for this exercise, we're going to do it on a f for father, okay? So we're going to count in to 4, and then we're going to pulse out to 4, so it will sound like this: in, and I just want you to feel the sensation of what's happening with your abdominal muscles, okay? You'll feel a kick. So I'll count you in. Here we go. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4, and okay, do you feel that kick? We're going to increase that now. We're going to breathe into 4, and we're going to pulse out for 6 on a f. So in, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and you should be able to feel that kick out, and that's your abdominal muscles, your core muscles engaging, okay, to support the air that's coming out on the f. Okay, now obviously that's not got any tone to it. That's just a f, 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 f. So it's a closed sound, but it does help us to engage where our muscles are and what support we need when we're singing. So again, I'd like us to take a look at the intercostals and think about what's happening. You can see the diaphragm. So during the intercostals, so the intercostals are the muscles in between the ribs that help the ribs to expand during inhalation. The lungs can't move on their own without the ribs. So the muscles of inhalation, the diaphragm contracts and comes down, lowering and flattening. As the diaphragm contracts, the pleural pressure, or the pressure surrounding the lungs, drops, creating a vacuum, which air from the outside the body rushes to fill. The air isn't taken, it simply responds to the decrease in pressure and fills the space. The contraction of the external intercostals between the ribs allows for the ribs to expand up and out, making more room for the air to fill the lungs. The contraction of the abdominal muscles during inspiration feels like an expansion in the abdomen, and it aids in optimizing the diaphragm's spinal stability and the posture. So it has lots of things that it's doing. So let's take a look at the abdominal muscles for a moment. When we're singing, it really is about controlling and managing the breath in order for the vocal folds to be used efficiently and not get damaged, really. So looking at these muscles, what I would like you to do is imagine that you had a zip. I like this one. So we're going to use the transversus abdominis muscle. You've got a zip, you've got a pair of trousers that are really high-waisted. I'm stealing this from Claire Barnett-Jones because it is such a good, it's such good imagery, and it's such a good connection to the feeling of what's going on. So imagine you have some very, very high-waisted skinny jeans on that, you know, they're elasticy, but they're a little bit snug. When you're managing your airflow, what I'd like you to do is imagine that you're starting right at the bottom of that zip and you're pulling the zip up as you're going through the phrase. Now, there's so many ways to approach a long phrase, and we're going to do it in a moment with Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, just the last part of the song, because that's quite a long hold for us, a long phrase to get through. So it's the perfect opportunity to use this zip up mechanism. But what I'd like you to do is either sit or stand in a relaxed way, and what I'd like you to do is just intake of breath for 4, and then as you let the breath out, and we're managing the breath here, so this is all about managing, not holding. So we take the breath in for 4, we'll hold we're going to suspend it just for a moment, and then we're going to blow out. But as we blow out, I want you to be really, really aware of that zip process happening. So it's like drawing the zip up, and the zip is your muscles. So as you're blowing the air out to 4, you're using your zip on the count of 4. Okay, and the aim of this is to be done with your air. It's to have the air out by the time we get to 4. So don't hold anything back. This is managing your airflow, and we're managing it in. So the breath in to 4 and the breath out to 4. Right, here we go. So in, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4. Okay, now that's not a long breath. Okay, that wouldn't be a long phrase that we were singing through. So we're going to do it again, and we're going to do it to 6. In, 2, 3, 4. Think of your zip, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, are you feeling that zip helping to support the air coming out? So though that zip is actually in effect you using the muscles, okay, your abdominal, various groups of abdominal muscles, and you should have almost the sensation of drawing up and up, in and up. Okay, so as you do it, you get that. It's almost like the same sensation as if you were doing a pelvic floor exercise. Okay, so I can't see you, so you can't see me. Do a pelvic floor. Okay, so as you pull the pelvic floor up, you get that drawing sensation going up, don't you? This is what we're looking for the same, or we're looking to feel the same sensation, but it's slightly above the pelvic floor. Okay, so we get the abdominal pulling and drawing up. Okay, so practice that as we do it again. We'll do it to 8 this time. So in, 2, 3, 4. Think about where your zip is starting right at the bottom, and 2, 3, 4, 5. Get rid of it. 7, 8, and relax. Okay, let's do it to 10. So in, 2, 3, 4, the zip is starting at the bottom, and here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Okay, what I'd like to do now is introduce some sound to that. So we're going to go, forgive me because this isn't going to be in the right key for everybody, but you can take it up an octave or down an octave if you like, or you can harmonise with me and you can move it a third up or down, whatever suits your voice. But we're going to start here, 1, and we're going to make the zip work to a tone now. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I really want you to feel that sensation. To begin with, we're going to do it at that time. Sorry for people that want it to go to 8 or don't like counting past 8. So in, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, did you feel the drawing up of those muscles like you were doing your zip to your trousers up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How did you get on? Okay, we're going to take it even slower. Well done. If you're still with me, well done. One more time. In, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now you might have noticed, ouch, you might have noticed that when you got to 7, you wasted some air because there were more syllables to sing. 7, 7. So it's things like that that you need to work out in a long phrase, because it's usually something to do with the diction that's usually something wordy that's creating wasted air, so air wastage. And you don't need to do that. Another way that helps to do this is by thinking the phrase through. So think it through a few times, thinking it through in the breath that you need to do it in, and then walk around your room and sing it, okay, or hum it or think it even, because even just thinking it, your muscles will be working, okay, and sometimes that is enough to get you through the phrase. And we're going to start looking at a phrase now, so I'm going to stop sharing. Back to me for a moment. And I'm just going to get Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. I'm going to get the full score up, but we're going to just do the tag, which is often an area that we end up losing air for. Okay, so the tag of Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me is pretty long for everybody. The basses get a sneaky little breath in there, but everybody else is singing for the same phrase length. So we're going to go from, it's like the sun going down on me, don't let the sun, don't let the sun, don't let the sun go down, and this is the bit, go down on me. Now this is quite a long phrase, so it's a good way of transferring the core support from the abdominal muscles using the zip method. So just that concept of doing up a pair of trousers, just making sure you get that lift, but everything else needs to be relaxed. Okay, it's no good squeezing it. Okay, it just needs to be nice and controlled and gentle. These are all gentle movements. There's nothing that is constricting and tight that's going to create tension, because that's exactly what it does. It creates tension, and we don't want any tension in our singing. We'll hear it in the recordings. So here we go. What I'd like you to really do is think about it first. Think about the phrasing, especially that last bit, which is the one that we're actually going to sing. And what I'm going to ask you to do is just think. Don't sing it, don't hum it, don't do anything. Just watch and listen. And in your mind, hear yourself singing it in your mind, but don't utter a sound. Okay, so you notice how extended that me is. You think you've got there, and then it's like, oh, there's a little bit more. So what I want you to do this time is just shut your eyes and think about it and just listen, okay? So just shut your eyes and listen to what's happening. Okay, good. Now what I'd like you to do is add another layer to this. What I'd like you to do now is not sing it, not vocalise it, but I would like you to isolate your muscles and go through the process as if you were singing it. Okay, this is again, this is a bit like muscle memory. So go through the process, and at the end just imagine that zip working. Obviously we're using it all throughout the song, but just for isolation purposes, so that you can really feel it, let's just do it for the tag. Okay, so just hear it, internalize it, and live it without making a sound. Okay, so your breathing is still happening. Okay, good. Did you make it? Did you make it? If you didn't make it, that's okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to hum it. Okay? So you're going to hum, and then you're going to use those muscles. And remember that we don't want any expulsions of sound or any kicks of sound. So we want those muscles to work nice and smoothly as we're doing the zip up. Hum. Good. How did you get on? Okay, so hum's good because there's no lyrics there. There's no s or anything that's going to get in the way of too much air escaping without it being managed. So a hum is another transition to getting a long phrase. Okay, so let's do it now on a, what should we do it on? Let's do it on a V, which is going to, you're going to have the connection with the muscle more, but also more air is going to be coming out. Okay, so this is almost like a really good test to see whether those abdominals are working, okay, and whether you're managing the length of that phrase. Let me just say here though, you don't have to, okay, you can always take a breath. You don't have to. This is for developing our breathing and getting through a long phrase. Okay, but you can take a breath and then rejoin. This is a recording that we're producing. Okay, so we're not singing it live at the Royal Albert Hall, and there's a pressure to get through that phrase. But if it's something, obviously, if you're here, you're wanting to work on your breathing. We've done a hum, and we found that that's actually quite easy because there's no lyrics getting in the way and air coming out too quickly, and it's quite easy to manage a hum. So what we're going to do now is change the hum, and now I'm being mean, we're going to change the hum to a V sound, V for victory. Okay, and your V is going to sound like a buzzy bee or a wasp that is stuck in a glass with the lid on. Okay, so you're going to go obviously in your part. Okay, so then when we get to the end, you're using the zip technique, but it's on a V, so you're having to manage more. Let's do that. Here we go. Did you manage? Nearly? Should we try again? Okay, let's do that again. If you didn't manage it, just take a little bit of air back. Okay, you don't need to force the air. Here we go. Let's try it again. Don't hold air back. Good. Okay, so I'm hazarding a guess that some people might be trying to top up. So okay, so you're not using all of the air. So what I want you to do is just relax. Relax and trust your body. Trust your body to do it. Okay? Just try that for me. Just trust your body that it's going to do it. You don't need to try and top up breathe before the long bit. That just adds tension and then you won't make it. Here we go, relax. Good. Did your body do what you trusted it to do? Okay, like I said, if it didn't, walk around as you're doing it and think about the process. Walk around while it's playing. Go through this process in a slower way. Okay, so do the same stage several times rather than, this is obviously for demonstration purposes. Now we're going to sing it. So really relax, trust your body. You don't need to take in great gulps of air. Just allow yourself to breathe naturally and add the zip in at the end. Okay, here we go. How did that work for you? Okay, I'm finding that each time I do it, it's much easier to get through. I'm going to do it this time and allow you to listen to it and sing it without me singing. Okay, here we go. Nice and relaxed. And you've done it. Well done. Excellent stuff. Hopefully you got through to the end of that, and hopefully you're feeling the way that those muscles can be in a relaxed but engaged state, so that it's not causing tension or constriction. And we're back in the room. Okay, so we're going to go through just a few things that we've done in this workshop, just as a little reminder. So SOVT, or straw phonation. If you're feeling that you're getting fatigued in any way when you're doing breathing exercises, or that you're not managing your breath in the correct way, and therefore it's giving you some kind of vocal fatigue, don't forget that you've always got SOVT to fall back on, which will also give you the sense of engaging with your abdominal muscles and therefore the ability to support the sound. So as part of the process of going through a long phrase like we just did, down on me, we've just done the tag, you can add before the hum, after the V, at any stage you can add in a straw phonation version, okay, just to remind you to keep everything relaxed. So if you're getting vocally fatigued, or you're tired, or you're feeling tension anywhere in this area, or you're feeling tension in your abdominal muscles, then let's get the straw phonation going, okay? And that's where you put a straw into your mouth and you make sound through the straw. But if you have the addition of water, so you put the straw into a water source, you're getting better back pressure, and therefore you are you're engaging your abdominal muscles and you'll feel them. Now, we have, for those of you that are collective members, we have an SOVT educational video already on the collective members page. So if that's something that you think, oh, okay, that could benefit me, you can all benefit from it. Everybody can benefit from it. So it's there for you to go and have a look at, and it will give you an introduction. There's lots of information about SOVT at the moment. It's quite a trend. It stems from voice therapy and speech therapy. So it's long used, tried, tested and practiced, and it's something that we use a lot now in the singing world. Check it out. It would be a workshop in itself, which is why I'm not going to go into huge amounts of detail here, but do add it in. Those of you that are collective members know that we use SOVT all the time. There's not many warm-ups that don't include the use of straw phonation, okay, with water. So yeah, do go and look at that. But if I start doing that now, we'll be here for another hour. So let's have a little recap as to what we've gone through. So we've spoken a little bit about the science and the biology about the respiratory system. We've talked about the importance of body awareness and posture. And we know that the diaphragm is the main muscle that's involved in inspiration, but that we have no control of it as it's an involuntary muscle. We know that incorrect breathing can cause tension, which transfers to the vocal tract and therefore the voice. We also know the same is true in reverse. So if we're having tension anywhere, we're not going to be able to use our abdominals correctly to manage our breath. We know how to breathe because we're all here, okay? We're all doing it pretty well. We've learnt that rather than putting pressure on ourselves to breathe, we actually need to relax to be able to optimise our breathing and to manage it appropriately. We've gone through a step-by-step process that should help you to achieve those long phrases that are sometimes asked of us. Well done for still being here. We are now at the end. Keep working on it. Breath management's something that all singers, both professional and amateurs, are constantly working on. Okay, nobody's got perfect breath control and breath management. But that's all from me from right now. And I hope you're enjoying Collective College and will continue to enjoy the rest of the weekend. And hopefully I will see you in a Zoom room soon. For now, bye.